Could be. Yeah, so session 7 is all about feeling resourced and feeling connected and sensing into any feeling of kind of being centered and grounded and positive. And that could be in different areas of your life more so than others. It could be in your relationships, it could be in your workplace or socially or any other areas of your life, or it could be rippling out into all areas. So it's an opportunity. We're going to take the opportunity today to reflect on what we've learned throughout the course and kind of takeaways, key takeaways for ourselves, and kind of what we want to cultivate and deepen moving forward. So there's a bit of an opportunity for reflection. So the first thing that we are going to do is a practice called the 10 finger, I call it the 10 finger gratitude. But we haven't got 10 fingers, have we? We've got 2 thumbs. It's a bit of a mouthful though, isn't it? 2 thumb, 10, 8 finger gratitude. So that's the concept of it. And you might have done this before, and you might have a gratitude diary or some sort of gratitude practice that you do on a regular basis or have done. So what I want to ask you to do is bring in that beginner's mind, but also really putting a physical movement with it. So I'm going to invite you to touch the tips of your thumbs and each finger. And so just notice if that's a gentle touch, you can play around with it. Or, like the self-soothing gestures, how sometimes it can be useful to kind of have a really firm but kind of kind touch. And so it's an opportunity to play around with that. Oh, what does that feel like? Does this help me connect with things? Or, does it need to be a flick or something like that? So play around with the movement because it just, really can bring it to life. It can be really helpful to have something kind of visceral and physical that helps us connect with what's going on in our lives. And the things that we're going to look at in terms of being grateful are small things, So sometimes we search for, or one will search for big things, or think, oh, I must be so grateful for the roof over my head, and you can get caught up in shoulds and oughts and all of those things. So I really want you to sense into the soothing touch of this. I'm going to invite you through a practice to go into 10 things, but I'm going to guide you a bit. But if something different comes in for you, then you do that, because that's really important that you make it your practice, just like all the other ones. Yeah, and it might be tiny things. And if you're getting caught up in a story or any of those mind traps or cognitive distortions that we talked about, like shoulds and oughts, or, you being unkind to yourself or something, just bring your mind back to the practice and use your tools, like label that, oh, I'm catastrophizing, or, oh, I've made a judgment about that, and bring it back. So you've got a really good toolkit through the first few sessions that we've had together. So use them, use your stop, use your breathing, open your eyes, look around if things get challenging for you in any way, because none of us know what's going to bubble up in a practice. So I want you to find a posture that you would like to do this practice in. It's going to take about 10 minutes or so, maybe a little bit longer, because we've got time and space. So feel free to go away from the screen or go and get something that you've noticed you need. You're too hot, too cold, not comfortable. And then let's get into a posture, whatever that is for us. I'm going to grab something for me. Want a nice soft cushion. So it can be useful to take your time, just get into that posture, whatever it is you need. You might find it useful to put something on your lap and rest your hands on it, or something under your feet, put your feet up. something behind your back. So using all those things that you've learned, all those kind of top tips for yourself to get yourself comfortable. And then just take some time to become aware of the breath. So sensing inwards, noticing the sounds of the breath in the body, the quality of the breath. Eyes closed or softening your gaze downwards. Maybe just noticing what it's like for you to just stop and pause, how you are in your heart and your mind and your body. Maybe getting a sense of everything just slowing down a little bit more than usual. And set the intention to just allow yourself to be guided in this practice. To go with whatever comes in for you, just to notice your experience and to really take care of yourself. So we're going to move through each of the digits on our hands, and I'm going to invite you to notice and bring to mind something that you're grateful for. Just knowing that this is so helpful for us. It helps counterbalance our negativity bias, help us develop and cultivate a more positive mindset, changes the brain, neuroplasticity, and also helps you build resources and create a sense of stability in your lives. So just perhaps touching, choosing what hand you're going to start with. I'm going to start on my left, do whatever feels right for you. And just connecting, squeezing your thumb, just gently. Find something that feels soothing to you right here, right now. It might be gently circling, moving your finger round and round, or just touching or holding, or it might be a real firm touch. And I want to invite you to bring to mind something you're grateful for. That's part of your usual morning routine. So it could be just the light coming gently through the window, or your lovely warm bed, or whatever it is, but something that you feel really thankful for in your morning routine. It's really connecting with that touch as well. What's coming in for you? It might be similar to taking in the good. You might be recalling through habit of practice, what sounds are there. You might even go into taking in the good. Just notice what happens. But it's enough just to bring it to mind and just to really know and feel in to a sense of gratitude for that being in your life. Now we're moving on to the index finger, so just connecting with that. And bring to mind something that you're grateful for in your home, something in the home. Maybe it's something that just really makes you smile when you look at it, or it's something that you use every day and it brings you a lot of pleasure. It doesn't have to be an exciting something. It can just be something that perhaps you've associated it previously with it being mundane. but necessary. Just see what lands with you. Feeling that connection in your hands. You might find that phrases are coming in like, I'm grateful for my kettle. Something like that. And then moving on to your middle finger, really sensing into what's here for you. Something in the work, in your work, and that could be work around the house or work to do with your job, something that you need to do. A job that needs doing. What you're grateful for. It might be a sense of purpose or satisfaction. You really enjoy doing this. Keeping that connection with your middle finger, that sense of soothing touch. Bringing your mind back anytime it wanders. And just knowing that each time you're noticing your mind's wandered off, you're building that mental muscle, you're developing resilience, changing the pathways in your brain. And it's to be celebrated. And that's something else to be thankful for. And moving to your ring finger. Thinking about bringing to mind something in nature that you're really grateful for, you're so thankful is there. It could be something recent or something from old. And again, this might open the doorway to other senses. So you might recall the touch or the smell or the beautiful colours or sounds. Just see what comes in for you. All the time connecting with that soothing touch. And maybe as you're bringing to mind these things, you might be feeling sensations somewhere else in the body, such as around the heart center or somewhere else. Just notice that. Maybe you're having a smile to yourself. Moving on to the little finger. And bringing to mind something you're grateful for about where you live. And that could be the building that you live in. It could be the road that you live in, or a sense of community, somebody or something you see regularly. It could be the shops in the area. Just whatever that means to you. See what comes in for you. And connecting with that touch, that soothing sensation. And seeing what else comes to mind. Be useful to bring in phrases. I'm grateful for. I'm thankful for. Just whatever makes this come alive for you. And then leaving the hands, like parting them, maybe just resting them for a moment, and just noticing the sensations in the hands, in the hand that you've done the practice with, and the hand that you haven't, the one that's been doing the soothing touch, because you're going to change over. Just notice if there's any difference. Maybe warmth or temperature or tingling. And then going over to the other hands and choosing a soothing sensation on the thumb and bringing to mind a time when someone said thank you to you. So a time that somebody was really thankful and grateful to you, and what that was like for you, and perhaps having a sense of gratitude for that, gratitude for noticing. Because of our negativity bias, we might not be in a habit of really noticing. So we might have to think that something might not come to mind immediately there, but maybe it was a lovely thank you letter, or a note that someone gave you, or a really heartfelt hug from a friend, because behavior is also communication, isn't it? So you know when someone's really thankful in your life for something that you've been a part of with them. And it might not have been words. So sensing into that soothing sensation, whatever that is, in the thumb, and moving on to the index finger. And an invitation for you to bring to mind a time when someone was kind to you. You feel really thankful for them. It could be a stranger just helping you in a parking space or something like that. Or it could be someone you know well. Just see what comes to mind. And again, bringing in that soothing touch, just to support you as you think of that. Someone being really kind to you. Notice what comes up for you when you consider this, where you feel that in the body. Moving on to the middle finger, finding a touch that works for you. Bring into mind some gratitude for a loved one in your life, a real being that you love, or a pet, a person. Just bringing to mind, using that soothing sensations, connecting through touch. You might want to say a phrase, or something might be coming to mind. I'm so grateful for this person, this being. Really taking care of yourself in this practice. Being kind to whatever arises for you. Using those tools, soothing gestures, breath. Movement even. And then moving on to your ring finger. And bringing to mind something that you do to nurture yourself. It might be something you've only just started doing, or it might be a real go-to that you've known for years, always works for you. Just bring it to mind, something you're grateful for, that you know really nurtures you, and you practice this. And again, kind of things that we've been learning about and taking the good. Maybe some other senses are coming in, or there's a sense of you really soaking up what that experience does for you. That thing that nurtures you. Bringing in that sense of touch so you can really connect. Be with. What are you grateful for that you do every day to nurture yourself? And then letting go and Moving on to your little finger, finding that connection with the soothing sensation of touch. And then just see what brings to mind, what comes to mind. Just anything that comes to mind that you're grateful for. And you can include yourself in that. Maybe you're grateful just to be you. That's something to be grateful for. Let's see what comes to your mind. And just staying with that, noticing what it is, connecting with the soothing sensations of touch. Noticing what it is. And connecting once more with what it's like for you to be just pausing, spending some time, bringing to mind things through this guided practice. Just reflecting on your experience, maybe coming to stillness, putting your hands on your lap or wherever it's comfortable, and just noticing the difference between the two hands now. Noticing the breath in the body, the quality of the breath, any shifts that have happened during the practice. How do you feel in your heart and your body and your mind right now? And we're going to bring the practice to an end in a moment, so just noticing how that feels for you, whether there's a sense of relief or you could stay for longer, you could do a deeper practice on some of those invitations. Just what comes up for you. Just noticing. And with the next out breath, when you feel ready, just dropping your chin down towards your chest. Blinking open your eyes, widening the gaze. You might want to cover and let in the light gently. So this is a really useful practice to do before you go to bed. If you want to, just do it quite simply. And it goes together with the Jon Kabat-Zinn saying about remembering to sew your parachute a little bit every day rather than waiting until you have to jump out of a plane. Which I rather like that, because it's just like that gentle reminder, because that develops that positivity and that counterbalances the negativity bias and helps you develop a bit of resilience through very simple things might come to mind. But let's hear from you. What was it like for you? Does anybody want to say before we go out in breakout rooms?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah, that was lovely. I could have stayed much longer for that.
Yeah.
Because I kind of dip in and out of recording gratitude and being grateful.
Yeah.
And I found with that one, like you just said, really simple things came up, really simple everyday things in my life that are always there, and just to actually consider them. And I really liked it with a sense of touch as well. I've been using a lot of compassionate gestures during the week. I had quite a lot going on, and it's just that kind of reinforced that. So yeah, it was really definitely one that I'll use again.
Did you feel, you don't have to say it on a bit, did you feel that like you needed more of a firm touch with some of them? Was there any, or you just
it actually literally just that. I felt that if I was actually gripping whichever one, most of them I was just gripping, or just kind of running my fingers up and down. Some of them are a bit lighter. I can't remember which now, but some I was just kind of holding on. But it was usually just between those two, really. But
yeah. It's interesting. It's been interesting to do that more, and just count them off at night,
Yeah.
for instance. But yeah, to see if there's any patterns of touch that come up, or
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
sense of soothing. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Anybody else want to say?
I found it really hard. I get times when I'm sure everybody does, when you just can't get in there, you can't do anything. Your mind is just, I'll be honest, and I'm not being, I didn't feel anything,
Mhm.
anything except this is hard today. That's all I kept thinking. Normally, that doesn't happen very often. But I struggled today. It was like I was a complete beginner when I was first learning. My mind all over. I could feel my feet moving. I was trying to pinch my fingers, but I'm like, I can't feel anything. There's no point. Yeah, it was really bizarre. Yeah. I
And
don't know
what
why. Maybe it's today. I don't know. But I just couldn't get in there today. I couldn't.
couldn't land with it?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but if you go back to, because I know you've done the MBSR, Carol, if you go back to that meditation line, where we think
yeah,
sometimes we can, one can consider my
yeah,
meditation is like this, but we know it's like that, you
yeah,
don't
yeah,
even have
yeah,
thoughts, but
yeah.
it can also feel like it- it's just as you're describing, it's just like I'm not sure
It's
what,
no,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah, and so touch can help with that,
yeah,
and it's an invitation, but do it as your do it to start to bring that in as your home practice and see if it shifts. But when we went into the practice, we were landing with the familiarity with the breath, because I know breath is your
yeah. I
friend,
was,
isn't it? It's
yeah,
your real
yeah,
coming home.
yeah.
Did you have a sense of going into the body at
In the
all?
beginning, yes, because it was
Yeah,
the breath, and I felt okay. I'm at home with my breath.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
then at some point, I even lost the focus on the breath, so I had to keep going back and
yeah,
being aware, really, really aware today.
yeah,
It was just
yeah,
weird. It's just one of those days. I have to
yeah.
sit with.
Absolutely, and I'm heartened to hear that you're saying it's one of those days, it's okay,
Yeah,
and from your practice it's about noticing your experience, and that's exactly
yeah,
what you did.
yeah,
And it could be a practice that you go back to, or it might be something that you connect through writing,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know, um, but it's one that definitely is useful in terms of, yeah, sewing your parachute. So, and building up those things. And I know,
yeah,
Carol, you've shared in the group about, you've had a lot going on. You've had
yeah.
so much stuff
Oh,
happening, and there's some chronic stress that's been going on here, isn't there? So, it's going to take a bit of time for that to
yeah,
shift and change. And I think my sense is that that this practice might be quite useful to help you reconnect
yeah.
with that part of yourself. So I would
I kept
recommend keep going with that. Yeah.
this is quite funny. Going through my mind is right. Which course am I going to do next with Mindfulness UK? Shall I do this? Shall I do that? Because we just got the messages for the other course that she's
Oh yeah.
you're offering, and that kept me okay. Stop thinking about that. That you can do that later, and it just kept coming in. So it's like these things are coming in that I
Yeah,
can just
yeah,
deal with later. Yeah,
yeah. And when you're a person like I really sense that you are, because you've been teaching for years and you talk about the children a lot, and you're really passionate, aren't you, about
yeah,
meeting other people's needs. And
yeah,
sometimes we just have to pause, as you've been doing lately, and fill our own cup up and
yeah,
reconnect with those parts of
yeah,
ourselves that
yeah,
we perhaps haven't connected with for a while, or um and then we're in a place where we can give to other people, but without taking away
yeah,
from ourselves.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So I feel like that, and this is a practice that can really help people kind of shift into that, right. What's here for me?
yeah,
What can I do for myself? And it's
yeah,
all about self-compassion as well, that kind of soothing sensations, taking in the good, all of those things. Yeah, so well done for staying with it, because it's not
Thank you.
easy to stay with it, is it? It's
It
sometimes
wasn't.
easier to go into the
Yeah.
head and go, oh, what will I be doing next? And so, yeah, keep that awareness there.
Just how it is right now.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Acceptance and trusting the process.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Oh, thank you.
Not easy. No.
But it's done.
Yeah. Let's see how it goes in it with the rest of it. Yeah. So, how was that for you? If you want to say, you're very welcome to.
During the time that you told me to tuck my thumb, and then after that, I feel like the thing that I feel grateful is pop up like the bird sound in the morning that show that I'm still alright in this day. So really good. And what I feel thankful does is show like my baby face together with my husband. So really happy on that. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And after that, I feel like okay. And I saw the feeling like in this morning, I feel like something like not really that feel normally, but not really much happiness or unhappiness. That like normal days. And when I do this, it make me feel much more awareness of how does their life can be and what that still stay with me, the thing that still stay with me, like the good thing, and make me concentrate more of my compassionate as well. It's really lovely.
Yeah. It's lovely to, yeah, like it's been said, it's just sometimes just something like, oh, the birds singing and I'm here. Yeah, is enough of a connection, and sometimes deeper, isn't it, about the people in your lives. So of course the change that you're going through, becoming a new mum. And I was just smiling so much to myself about thinking about number 8 for you. Yeah, a loved one. And I was just thinking,
Oh,
how
yeah,
lovely. And all the things that you shared. And then when it was like about your home, I just went straight into Carol's swimming pool. She was telling us about it last week. And I know a swimming pool's lovely. We all like to have a swimming pool, but it was your connection with it, Carol, that you really described. You were just like, I know I'm going to be all right if I'm breathing and I'm in water, and I know, how to nurture myself. It's so heartfelt when you shared that. So I was thinking about all the things that I kind of know about you, and things that sort of Lorna's shared about, before, and with the taking in the good. And it just makes my heart kind of go really warm. I don't know if it is for anybody else, but it's so important, isn't it, to recognize, what kind of makes our hearts sing or what we're grateful for, and to share it, which might sound a bit, bizarre, but just to say to somebody, oh, it's a beautiful day, isn't it? It can really help somebody go, oh yeah, it is. And take them out of that, mindset of thinking and to like looking around them. So I think it's useful in terms of relationships as well as, helping us, and like you said, helping you connect with that compassion, that compassion for yourself. It's yeah. So if that's okay, I would really like you to have a pause and think about what you have learned on this course so far that's going to help you. So sort of write a list of sort of resources, what you can lean into that's going to help you feel resourced moving forward. And then we're going to come back together and do another practice. So let me see if there's a PowerPoint slide, because my PowerPoint's decided not to load at the moment. So I think I will just keep it simple and go into breakout rooms. So I will pause and record it. So there are 3 ways to correct negativity bias. So just a reminder, we know we all know this, but it's really good to hear. We've all got a negativity bias. It's not our fault, it's how we were hardwired, and all the things that have happened to us in our lives, most of which we won't have had control over. What, that kind of unavoidable primary suffering where something's happened out of our control and we get caught up in all those mind traps and negative cognitive distortions and the shoulds and the oughts and all of those things. So we've got some tools around that. We've got our stops, we've got the breath, we've got our practice, we've got our taking in the good, all the things that you've just talked about and shared. But there are 3 practices that are so good at helping us correct the negativity bias and sort of see it for what it is and step back and say, actually, there is all that going on, and we can label our emotions and we can sit with the difficulty and reach out to people and feel resourced and part of a community. But the 3 practices are taking in the good that we did last time. So because that really helps us absorb, just like we're a sponge or a colour, and really have that experience and enrich it and absorb it, and so that it stays in our memory banks and it actually changes, the certain parts of the brain, and then we can access them quickly. And it's just so helpful. The other one is gratitude that we've just done. So just really checking in, even if it's seconds, what am I grateful for? The breath, the birds, the kettle, the cup of tea, whatever it is, And if we can do the 2, so Lorna was talking about combining those practices, how sort of by osmosis she sort of combined the soothing and the gestures and the phrases, and it's kind of like she's developed her own sort of way around these practices, so that and I can tell, and I'm sure you can, that she feels really resourced by that, so I can really embed this into my life. And that's what happens. And the 3rd practice is self-appreciation. So a bit like Carol was saying, how you sort of reverse it and say, well, what would a good friend say to me about that situation? We can do that about appreciating ourselves and the qualities that we have about ourselves. And that's quite a tricky thing to do sometimes. And I know I found it tricky because of my conditioning, which was as soon as you start saying something, my parents, were in their 80s, and it's just the time and the generation that they were, sort of the messages that I got was, don't brag, don't talk about yourself, askers don't get, that kind of messaging, very strong. So when you sort of people say, 3 or 4 things, which I'm going to ask you to do to appreciate about yourself, qualities that you've got, I immediately sort of go, well, I can think of them, but I don't think I can voice them because it's just not, it's not nice to boast, is it? So that's what comes in for me. And so there may be something that comes in for you, some messaging, and it's about looking after yourself in the moment and being able to step back from that and go, oh yeah, I'm noticing that all that is coming in for me, but right now I'm going to stay with that quality that I've acknowledged that I've got, and just see what happens. And that's all we're asking you to do. So you might have something to hand. You might want a bit of pen and paper to hand, and you're welcome to come in and out of this, practice a bit like we've done before with the phrases. And let's just do this as a little bit of a practice. And then we're going to go have a little bit of time to write things down. And then we're going to go straight into another practice, which is called the mountain, which I'll introduce to you when we get to that point. Does that feel okay? Does anybody need a comfort break to come back? So we're going to do 2 in a row. Yeah, have a comfort break. Yeah, do. Have a little bit of movement. Are you all right, Em?
Yes, I'm good.
Yeah, you comfortable?
I pin this out. What did I show you?
Oh, I can't see it. Just, yeah. You've turned your camera off.
My brain fog. Is it?
Oh, yeah, you got it. You printed, yes.
I print this out and then I try
That
to
looks
see
fab.
my postpartums. Like I read and then I try to look on the things, but I don't really wrote it down. But I bear on my mind like if I ask myself about this question, what this will be or kind of that. So I think it's really good to print it out and to remind myself in this site. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, could that be a lovely thing, keepsake? Because it would be, yeah, as well. Yeah. Ah, so you've already been doing some stuff on it. Is anybody else using their journal yet? Using it alongside?
Not yet, not yet.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's there to revisit, you know, you can revisit all of those practices and you've got them all. So yeah, lovely.
It's like a workbook, but it's shorter and hit on the point and easier to understand as well.
Yeah, nice. Oh, yeah. Okay, so let's do a self-appreciation practice. So we're just going to, you know, the key thing to come out of this is, you know, what do we appreciate about ourselves, and notice how we can do that and how we might inhibit it. You might not, but just noticing what comes in for you. So using the breath to connect with your practice, whatever posture is comfortable for you, and just an opportunity to turn inwards. Notice the quality of the breath and those soothing sensations of the breath. And knowing that you can use any of those tools that you've got, those gestures, any movement. And if your mind's wandering, just getting caught up in anything, just take the opportunity to maybe thank the mind, you know, be grateful for the mind. Thank you for all those reminders, all those things that are going on for me. But right now, right here, I'm just sitting with the breath. Really sensing into the gentleness of the breath, and perhaps where you can feel the movement the most in the body. Knowing that you've got that sense of touch as well, so you might want to place your hands on the part of your body that you feel the breath is moving the most in, just to really connect with that. Or maybe at any point in this practice or any of these practices, you might want to place your hands somewhere soothing, or put your arms around yourself and really use those gestures that you've learned to look after yourself. It's really important. So I want to invite you just to notice. Let's start with one thing, one personal quality that you've got that you really appreciate about yourself. It could be something that people have often said to you, and it's really resonated with you. But we're inviting you to really consider personal qualities that you believe that you've got and link to that. So maybe people have said a certain quality and it didn't resonate with you. So maybe there's something there, a quality that you really feel you've got. And just notice what that is. And see where you feel that in your body. And what it's like for you. Is there any resistance? Is there any bracing? Is there any warmth? Any warm, fuzzy feelings or tingling or and I invite you to just consider perhaps there's some more, perhaps up to 3 or 4 personal qualities or attributes that you really appreciate about yourself. And it might feel useful to say, I am. Or I am loyal, for instance. I am fun. If that feels right for you and helpful. And notice when you're bringing these qualities to mind, what you appreciate about yourself. How does that feel? Does it feel the same each time, or are there shifts? Do you need to bring in one of those tools, such as placing your hands on your chest, or just bringing in a bit of movement? Notice any judgments or criticisms that arise, and then bring your attention back to appreciation. We're very good at appreciating ourselves and then adding a yes, but. So just be aware of those. Come back to what you appreciate, those qualities. And then consider all of those who have helped you develop this quality and send them some appreciation. Maybe they're family members, or friends, parents, teachers, colleagues, neighbours. And maybe the circumstances in which they taught you that might not have been easy. But maybe you can still connect with some appreciation. So just sending that out, maybe saying those words to yourself. I appreciate the lessons I learned from this person, this experience. Maybe you learned through the modeling those qualities to you. And notice the difference between how you feel when you're invited to self-appreciate. So I appreciate this about me, or whatever comes in for you. And the difference in sending out that appreciation to someone else. Maybe they're the same, maybe there's some difference. Just notice. See if you can soak yourself in those qualities that have come to mind. In the same way as you take in the good. So just allow yourself to really absorb them. And notice what that's like. An invitation to bring your attention to the breath once more. It's knowing those qualities. You can have a chance to write them down in a moment. Into the breath in the body, and just noticing where you're feeling the breath the most right here, right now. Maybe it's in a different place. Is it more soothing now? Is it deeper? Is there a different quality? Just bring that same curiosity to the breath. And then with the next out breath, dropping your chin down towards your shoulders, your chest rather, rolling your shoulders, maybe bringing in some movement, maybe a stretch. And then just sort of staying staying within that practice and doing a bit of reflection. So maybe just invite you to write down 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever personal qualities came in and how you experienced them. I know Em's done that in her journal already. So maybe it's different. Maybe different qualities came in. It might be different every time you do it. And then notice, was it more difficult to stay with that self-appreciation of the qualities for you, or was it different when you sent that out to others, when other people came in? Did any judgments or criticism of yourself or others come in, and how was that for you? Did you feel that in your body? Were you able to bring your mind back and stay with that appreciation? Or did you go off into the story, as we do as humans? We're going to go straight into the next practice, which is mountain. And this has been adapted from a longer practice with John Kabat-Zinn, from mindful meditation in everyday life. And this practice can really help bring to create for ourselves a sense of stability and equanimity, to feel more rooted and grounded in our bodies, and therefore in our hearts and bodies, a mind, and that connection. And it can really help us feel resourced and resilient. And so we can do it as a practice, a daily practice or weekly practice, whatever, but also in the moment. So for example, and I know I've probably said this before, but I have to go into lots of meetings about my son because I'm a parent carer, and this practice is so helpful for me to do before. And even when I'm in a meeting, sometimes I'm like, I am the mountain, you know, and it helps me feel quite, what's the word? Like a formidable presence, because I need to have some fierce compassion for what's going on in my situation. And I need to not get caught up in the emotions around that. I need to be very stable and focused. So sometimes I'm like, I am the mountain, even when I'm in that meeting, and it's so helpful. So I want you to think about where you need to be to get the most out of this practice. And it could be that you go and sit, you know, with your back against a wall and put something warm against you, so that you're really connecting with a surface, for example, behind you, or stay in your chair or stand, but just have a consider, oh, what do I feel I want to do with my body? What would give me the best kind of feeling about being in the mountain? And I'm going to guide you. So we're going to start with our posture. So choosing a posture, if you want to do something different, please do. It might be that you just make yourself a little bit bigger. Sometimes I find that useful, really planting your feet on the floor, perhaps knees further apart than they would normally be in a posture. But just bring in what you feel might help you. So bringing your awareness to the breath, and in particular, bring it to the rise and fall of the movement around your abdomen, or just kind of below, like with your diaphragm, and just notice the movement of the breath in the body. Really connecting with the breath, closing your eyes or softening your gaze. And I invite you to bring to mind a picture of the most beautiful mountain that you know or can imagine. I invite you to notice its mass, its peak, the shape of it, the steepness of the sides, any nature, any fauna, trees. Maybe there's snow and ice. Maybe there's water, waterfalls. And I invite you to sense the base of the mountain deeply rooted into the earth's crust, and notice how huge and stable and unmoving your mountain appears. And this is an invitation. So maybe you're not having a clear picture of this mountain in your mind, and maybe you are, maybe that's changing all the time, but just see if you can have a sense of it. Maybe there's sounds and smells and images and things that are coming in. So just notice that. And once you feel familiar with this sense and image of the mountain, see if you can bring it into your own body. So that sense of your head being the lofty peak, your shoulders and your arms, the sides of the mountain, your bottom, your legs, your feet are the lower slopes. And as you're sitting, the solid base is rooted to your cushion or chair. And just invite yourself to become this stable, centered, breathing mountain. Just a sense of your body as the mountain is fine. And now take some time to notice your emotions, how your thoughts and feelings, where you're feeling that in your body. And I invite you to visualize and experience them as weather around your mountain. How is your weather right now? Is it sunny and calm, windy, wet, foggy, turbulent, cold, harsh, or a mixture? Maybe it's murky and you can't see much at all. But just allow your weather to be the way it is. It happens just around the mountain. Notice if it changes, if it intensifies, or if it lessens throughout this practice. See if you can stay with yourself as the breathing mountain for as long as you feel able to. And as the weather changes, the light changes, the days change and the seasons, the years change, things come and go, but the mountain just sits, simply being itself. Storms may come and go, but the mountain is still there. Calmness abiding all the change. Notice how it feels in this practice. Now bring in your senses back to the breath, perhaps the middle of your body, so around the abdomen, around the chest area, torso, sensing into the movement of the breath there once more, noticing if it's any different. And just knowing that you can be that breathing, stable, centered mountain whenever you choose to. It's always there for you. And we'll bring that practice to an end just by maybe doing a longer out breath, a bit of a sigh, opening the eyes, maybe doing some movement, some gestures, whatever feels right for you. And then we've got a little bit of time for a bit of inquiry around the mountain and whether or not, with all that weather going on, mine was quite turbulent actually, what it was like to kind of just be still and let all that go on around you. And also what it was like for you to do a practice upon practice, a bit like attending a retreat, you know, a practice and then a little break and then another practice, whether that was useful for you. So yeah, over to you if you want to share.
My mountain was Mount Fuji in Japan, because somewhere before I leave here I will go. And it's beautiful. There's blossom at the bottom and there's snow in the wind. I've got pictures of it with snow as well and the blossom, and it just feels like a place of strength. Because the Japanese people are quite strong. Their character is quite strong, and it just felt like a place of strength.
Yeah. Did you feel that in your body, Carol?
Yeah. I felt quite strong, but still thoughts kept coming in. Well, which course I'm going to do next? I've got to go to the dentist. Seriously, today is an off day, and I felt that when I was focusing on the mountain, the other thoughts kind of dispersed, because I had this vision. Maybe it's because I really want to go there. I want to be there on that mountain. I want to walk up it. And then the other thoughts dispersed. They kind of didn't come in so much. And then I went back to my breath. Yeah, that was my... I never thought about doing that before, thinking about... I've never heard of the mountain technique before. But I think it's one that I'd like. It's yeah. So and it does represent strength and power. Yeah.
And kind of standing in your own power.
Yeah.
It sounds like it could be a useful practice, Carol. It sounds like there was a connection there, the particular. And often we connect with somewhere that we know, or we feel like we know, you know, it resonates with us, that imagery. And what was it like doing practice upon practice? Because we did the self-appreciation and then went more or less straight in.
That was okay, but because I've never done that before either, it felt a little bit different than just sitting hours in silence, because I sit in hours in silence. So that, and the kind compassion towards myself, the things I thought about myself was I'm still kind and compassionate towards others, and I think I always will be. So that was one of my qualities, I think. Regardless of what comes from them, I still have the ability to go, okay, well, I have to be compassionate and think of their reasons for being X, Y, Z, or I'm just being kind towards them because you don't know what's going on.
So it's like a core value, a core quality of Carol is
still need to be
compassion. Okay. So sometimes it's good to do, you know, practice upon practice. You know, we don't have to do one if we've got time and it fits with our lives. You know, we can sense in at the end of a practice. Do I need something else? Maybe I'll do a quick mountain. Do some breath awareness. I feel like I could do with some strength. You know, I'll be the mountain for a while. That kind of thing. So it might be really useful to connect with it that way.
Because really, if you do it that way, that means you're really looking after yourself, because you're actually meeting, instead of me sitting for hours and hours in silence, I'm actually meeting the areas that I need. I'm asking myself, which I've never done before. Like, what do I need? Okay, so I'll bring that in. I will bring that in. So,
it's a really good point, Carol, because we've got it sounds a bit, you know, cheesy sometimes, but we do, when we turn inwards, we've often got the answers for ourselves. You know, if
Yeah.
we can get rid of that noise, you know, like you were saying, it
Yeah.
turn down the volume of those thoughts
Yeah.
and gets to quickly to the sort of nub of like, hey, you know, this is what's going on for me. So
Yeah.
kind of cuts through that autopilot as well.
Good.
Thank you, Carol. Anything else from Lorna and what do you want? Anything to add?
Yeah, I love the mountain meditation. It's one of my favorites, and I do practice it quite frequently, and it's just a really, really, really grounding strength practice, definitely. But this time, my mind kept wandering because I went to Machu Picchu last year with my husband for his 50th, so I pictured the mountain there behind the ruins, but I just kept wandering off into the holiday, wondering what the people were doing that we met, and then so when it came to the weather, it was like really windy because my mind was all of a sudden all over the place.
Yeah.
But it is a practice that I really appreciate and rely on. It's just wonderful. It's so grounding. Yeah, and it was nice to do the two practices. I quite often will do practices back to back or merge practices, or but they were both quite busy practices because there was a lot of consideration, I suppose. So doing the practice, I liked it though, but the qualities, I think I'm quite optimistic, and that's I always try to be anyway. But the things that came up basically were optimistic, kind, and patient. Because people do say that about me as well. But so then I started questioning, am I always like, and people say I'm like that, but am I really like that always? So you're kind of questioning in my mind, am I always really kind about people? And of course, obviously not always, but no, I know not in a, but it's not, you know, I don't always have kind thoughts about people. That's
because you're human.
Yeah, exactly. But generally, I would never be outwardly unkind. If I had to tell somebody they'd done something that I don't like, I would do it in a kind way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and just thinking about where these qualities come from, and I'm very much like my mum, and they come from her. There's 4 of us, 4 siblings, and I'm more like my mum. Even I can see that I'm more like my mum than the others. My dad's very impulsive and stubborn, and my mum's very kind and patient, and I'm like my mum. So he's one of my sisters, and the other 2 are like my dad. And it's just interesting how it all to consider all of this.
Yeah, and that you can have those feelings of, oh, I'm really cross about that.
Yeah,
But you can still be, you know, those core values like Carol said as well, you know, that kindness and compassion is still there.
Yeah, I couldn't outwardly be unkind to somebody. I don't think I ever have. I just do it. It's not who I am. But then I start to think, is that because I'm a people pleaser? I don't like confrontation. Rather, do you know what I mean? There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, so that's what that practice is about. It's about, oh, what's coming in for me? There's a judgment, you know, or something else. So it's an opportunity to explore. Yeah, that's what people say about me, but do I feel that?
Yeah.
And so you can appreciate that people are saying that about you, but where's that coming from? It's very interesting, a very good thing to keep doing that curiosity and self-exploration.
Definitely.
So,
that's quite
thank
new
you.
Practice, considering my qualities, is quite new. So there's lots of things were coming up then, and it's something.
Including like lots of nice things going, oh, that was a nice holiday, you know. And again, that's part of our practice, is just noticing. So it's like, okay, I might do that again. Yeah, I'll do that again. And not telling ourselves it's going to be a different way, you know, because like you say, we do the mountain a lot, but today this happened, you know, so it just really demonstrates that our practice is different all the time, and that's okay as well. Yeah. Anything from you?
Today I picked the mountain that I was like maybe 5-year-old, and I'm walking with my dad. How that? Yeah, it's quite warm in the day, and yeah, it's really good for grounding. And I feel like if I really wear that, maybe it's really warm day and sunny days, it will be lovely days, and this make me feel like calm down, and everything is focused on my breathing, and I feel like it's good day. And does it make us to be focused on our body if wondering that we are in the mountain? Yes. And for the intervention that we continue to to like appreciation and their practice. I think is make us to be more stronger in the point of the advantage that we have. Yes, like in the first time I sit and think what the thought and feeling come up is like the operation situation that I come up that I lay down on the operation room, and the doctor say, yeah, you're looking well, and yeah, he said like many people will be really worried and anxiety about that operation, but I seem really calm and look after myself as well. So I feel like, oh, it's good. And he said that to remind me. But in reality, I also, yeah, a bit fear, and I feel like
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
my first operation, there's a big operation, and what it will be happen to me if I cannot go out from the operation room, and what it will be on my baby. Yeah, the fear come up on that time, but yeah, the doctor tried to say, hey, you're looking well, and yeah, you're looking good. And I feel like, yeah, I try to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
So it's
after
helpful.
yeah, finish the operation, I feel like I have a lot of the self appreciation for myself as well, because yeah, it's the first time of my operation that someone put the surgical thing to cut my belly and put the baby out. Yes, I really appreciate this experience. And yeah, finally I saw my baby as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's lots to appreciate there. And yeah, it's amazing. Amazing. Thank you all of you for sharing those things, because it's really going to shape these important discussions to shape how you're going to take this course forward, so stay connected to that practice, stay connected to groups of people that practice. Like there's a sitting group that happens every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, lunchtimes here, that you can connect, come and do a practice with people, and that will, can really support you to deepen and cultivate your practice in that way, for example. So the last bit of the course, hold on. I'm just seeing if I can get the PowerPoint up, and I'm confident it's going to work for me. Yes. Oh, I'm so pleased that that's happening now. Can you see it, Lorna? Can you give me a thumbs up if you can see it?
Not. Oh yeah, now I can.
Ah, brilliant. Okay, so we've got. We've done a lot of this already. So slide. You. Slideshow. Let's see if that works. Just went in a different way. So we've got a little acronym for you, which is practice, which is exactly what we're talking about. So staying connected to your practice. And the acronym is, about present moment awareness. So knowing that you're cutting through autopilot and bringing your mind back. So I think we've talked about that a lot. Resilience is the R. So just knowing that these practices are going to better equip you for life. They don't stop situations arising in our lives. We're human. They don't stop any of those other thoughts and habitual distorted cognitions coming in. But it does help us notice, and then it gives us tools to feel more equipped to deal with stuff as it arises, because we understand ourselves a bit better. And in that, we can accept ourselves just like we would, a person that we love, a loving being, to be able to do that to ourselves, or like Carol said, to reverse it. Actually, let me just reverse that and see if I can do that for myself as well. I think that's just a lovely analogy. that compassionate communication. So to make sure that we are having that communication with ourselves in our internal dialogue with ourselves is as kind and connected as it would be for other people in our lives as well. So being really mindful of that. The T is for taking in the good, which we know is all around counterbalancing the negativity bias. So it's a really good one to shift and change things that maybe we've been attached to for quite some time. It's a way of developing those other parts of our brains through neuroplasticity that help us develop a more positive mindset around ourselves and around our lives. Intention. So really sitting with the intention of the practice, even if it's, I'm just gonna intention to notice what happens. You know, you don't have to have something concrete like I'm going to be more kind to myself today. It's like I'm just going to notice and I'm going to be kind to whatever comes in for me. So set those alarms, schedule them into your day, talk to other people about what you're doing and why you're doing it. That keeps it alive in us, you know, just chatting to people about it, you know, what we've been up to. Don't talk about what you've watched on Netflix. You talk about that as well, if you do, but talk about your practice because it helps bring it alive. And then caring for others. When we, as we've talked about today, when we fill our own cup up, we are so much more able to be there for other people in our lives without having a detrimental effect to ourselves, because we somehow we keep something of ourselves back. We keep filling our own cup up. And compassion, what's great about it is it's never ending. It's cyclical. You know, we can keep filling up our cups and then we can keep giving to others. And all of you are in, you know, professions where you're giving. So it's so important. And to do this every day, you know, practice mindfulness and compassion every day. And if you haven't done a long practice, just be kind to yourself about that. Set time for yourself. Do it there and then, or set time for yourself to do it in another way. So, you know, this is a simplified version of Karen's model, the iceberg model, and this is where you are with it. And you've all given really, really good examples. So, you know, we've got mindful awareness, that's shining a light on what's going on for us through our practice. We're bringing in that gentle curiosity, and then we're being kind to ourselves, compassionate, and we're taking action that is changing and shifting our usual routine. So a really concrete example is Lorna's of like, oh, I've worked really hard, I've got an hour between clients. So awareness, I'm hungry, you know, some awareness coming in. Oh, I like that cafe. I wonder what it'd be like if I went there. Oh, I've got some resistance there. Let me be curious about that. And then, no, I'm going to take the decision to do that and really notice what that's like for me. Far more likely to do it again, far more likely to have a break, have a coffee, really look after yourself, go to the loo when you want, you know, all of those sorts of things. You've all given really good examples, you know, and just that deeper understanding. Why is that coming? Oh, it comes from a little bit of fear about doing stuff on my own, or perhaps being, you know, whatever else is coming in from conditioning, whatever. But it's that action. It's this that makes us take that action. Oh, I reach out for help. I'll have that conversation. I'll practice some compassion. I'll reverse it and ask myself, what would my best friend say to me? What would a really good friend say to me? I won't do 10,000 steps today. It doesn't matter. I've just had a baby. I'm going to just really enjoy being with my husband and my baby. You know, it's this. You've got to have this in order to take that action. And it's the action that's going to help you live your life in the way that you want to. That's right for you. That's congruent with your core values of who you are and what you want to cultivate in your own life for yourself and other people. So keep doing those practices. Keep being curious. It's not self-indulgent. It's wise. You know, we talk about taking wise action. If you picture Karen's model, this bit is the wise action that you would take for yourself. And it's cyclical, just going back to that, doesn't end there. you know, what else could I do? Ooh, what else could I do? You know, it's really reaffirming. It grows. So what will you take away to use at home, at work, socially? So thinking about that, and I'm going to ask you to share one or two things at the end, but we're very near to the end. But what I'd really like you to invite you to do is write a personal letter to yourself, and you might have done this before in an MBSR course. And I want you to start it today, and you might, you know, it might take you a little bit longer, and you might want to take some time to do it after the session or this week or whatever. But the concept is that you would write a personal letter to yourself, and it needs to contain words of encouragement about what you want for yourself. So what have you learned? You know, what do you intend to do? Have you got an aspiration for how you want things to be for you in your life? Whether that's developing self-appreciation more, or being kinder to yourself, or having a daily practice, whatever that is, in 3 months' time. And then I would like you to set a calendar reminder for 3 months' time, which will be April, May, June, which will be on the 25th of June. I'm going to write that down as well. And decide where you're going to keep that letter, whether it's written and you're putting it away somewhere like a lovely drawer or somewhere, or it might be in the notes on your phone, or it might be an email to yourself, and then look at that in 3 months' time. And if you want to reach out and connect with me, I'd love to hear how that is. So start that you might want to start that process now, or just write down the key points. So words of encouragement that you want to give yourself about what you've learnt, what you responded to the most in this course, and some intention, an aspiration that you want in 3 months' time in relation to what you've learnt. So I'm just going to give you a couple of minutes, and I'm going to take a quick comfort break myself, and then we're going to share what our takeaways are. Sharing. One or two words each to just capture what it is you're going to take forward that you've learnt on this course into your life. Not necessarily to work on, but just what has really resonated with you. And if it's okay, I'd like to start with Em, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So 1 or 2 things.
For me, I think the key takeaway this will be have key, like 3 key. The first one that is mindful and awareness. I will recognizing the difference between doing and being mode incorporation of the mindful in my daily activity. And another thing that is about self-compassion, that I will practicing the self-shooting and be kinder to myself, and acknowledge when I need to pause and stop or reset of myself as well. I will not push myself to do everything that I should do in one time or kind of that. Yes, and the last thing that is about resilience and emotional intelligence. Is it like I will learning to respond rather than react, and try to understand their emotional triggers which will be happen on my life, and also calculating a balanced perspective in challenging moment. Yes.
Yeah, being able to step back. Yeah. Oh, thank you. It's very concise. Thank you. And shall we go to Lorna, and then last but not least Carol, and then maybe me if we've got time. We've gone over, of course. It's me.
For me, I think the compassion is hugely affected me, and learning about it, and self-compassion, and I'm going to taking more compassionate action. So the model we were looking at just now with the awareness, curiosity, kindness, action, that simple version of Karen's iceberg model is just being more compassionate in my actions, and like recognizing when I'm putting limitations on myself, because that's been a big thing this week. So yeah, just recognizing when I'm limiting myself and kind of question it and push forward, just take more compassionate action and say, why not just do what you need.
Yeah, interesting. Thank you. Have you all made notes in your diary for the 25th of June to open your letter? And
Yeah.
Lovely. And Carol, what's your takeaway?
I think mine is I'm going to purely focus on being more compassionate towards myself, and to stop thinking about, okay, when am I going back to England? But by the time I get back, I want to be qualified in this. By the time I get back, I want to be experienced to set up something. I want a business. That's what's going on in my head at the moment. And to try and just because when I say to myself, do you know what, stop thinking about that for now, because that's going to happen later either way. But I forget about those words and it just goes over and over in my head. So I'm going to try and not control, but work with those feelings. And not worry about what I'm going to do next, because who knows what's going to happen tomorrow. And it will just come. Yeah, it will just, not worry when I'm going to get back home, not worry about, but I think the big thing for me, and I really need to take this on board, is to start being really, really, truly compassionate about myself and look after me. I mean, really look after me, not just, I'll go and have a nice meal or I'll do this, but really look inside and see what I really need, and no matter how painful, and try and do that.
Yeah. Oh, I've got goosebumps from you all. So thank you for sharing. It's those baby steps, Carol. Just think of Em's lovely little daughter, a little tiny baby. Yeah, just
tiny baby.
Steps,
Come there.
You don't have to do everything in one go. Just be in the moment that you're in. So it's that present. It's coming back, isn't it, to that present moment awareness, and then bringing in that genuine compassion, as you say. Yeah. So don't be strangers, please. I would love to hear from you. There is a community, a membership that you can be part of, and I think some of you are part of that. There's a regular group that Karen runs if you're for members every first Tuesday of the month, and you'll get communications about this. And I'll make sure they're forwarded to you, Carol, just in case there's a blip for you. There's a sitting group Monday, Wednesday, Friday lunchtimes. You can just drop into that, sign up, and then you get the Zoom link. There's retreats. There's a retreat coming up on the 29th of April that Karen's running. So if you've enjoyed that practice upon practice upon practice, then have a retreat day. There's all sorts of things. So stay connected. If you've booked the training, this Train the Trainer, Mandy's going to activate your access to the training materials. So Tidere, you're not doing it until June, so you've got plenty of time. Lorna, you'll need to make a start on them quite soon. But yeah, so if there's anything that you're unsure about, just contact me, book in a Calendly, and we'll go through it. So don't sort of feel like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. If something's unclear, we want to know, and we want you to reach out to us and say, hey, can you just tell me, have I got this right? So you know where we are, and it will just be lovely to stay connected to you. So please let us know how you are in a couple of weeks' time as well, how you're finding it.
Angie, is there somebody I can talk to about which course I'm doing?
Just book in with me, Carol. So below, when I've emailed you, below my signature, there's a Calendly link.
Yeah. So what about the time difference?
I work UK time. It's got all my times that I work underneath my signature. So I work daytimes Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, 9 a.m. to 3:30 8:30 p.m. and then on a Wednesday morning, but I usually teach Wednesday morning, so just book in at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or if you need to do something a bit earlier or later, then ask to book in with Karen. Just send me an email and say those times don't work for me, and then
Yeah.
Karen will meet up with you. But one of us will,
Okay.
so don't worry.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
So we look forward to
Okay.
hearing from you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, thank you.
Yes,
Thank
you,
you.
Lovely. And please send us pictures of your baby.
Okay,
Yeah.
bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care, everyone. Bye. Bye.